Well, hello again, everybody. This is John Norris at Trading Perspectives. As always, we have our good friend Sam Clement, and back by popular demand, Courtney Truss. I hope you're all doing okay.
Yeah, doing good.
Awesome.
Excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're back, Courtney. We missed you after a couple of weeks. Sam, Courtney had a pretty good idea. She asked us some questions about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and just the amount of money that's being thrown around at kids these days. All that good stuff. And it's not just necessarily professional athletes or semi-professional athletes. I guess that's what you would call amateur athletes now. But it's also Instagram influencers and people on Facebook and social media and all that stuff.
And YouTube.
YouTube. And, Sam, I guess this is where the old man in me is coming out. Courtney's got a lot of questions. And I'm sitting there going, I'm not exactly sure if I completely understand what's going on, but it seems like a lot of people are getting paid a lot of money just to kind of show up.
Yeah, I mean, it's opened up a whole kind of new part of kind of the whole economy, new ways to market, new ways to advertise, new ways to get your own content out there and not have to, go through a TV platform. I mean, you can just make your own videos and post it to YouTube and start getting paid. So it's just really opened up the creator-driven content and the ability to monetize that and to monetize just influence as a whole, and more people are able to have influence and monetize that. So it's something that I don't think has really ever been around to this extent.
Well, it's not, and really, I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever checked up my TikTok feed, but every time I go out there and I try to do some new dance steps and show people my moves. And
You're
really
starting the viral dance.
Well, I'm
videos.
trying to. It's called the belly jiggle, and but for me, it's kind of difficult because no one's sharing these things, so I'm not making any money on this. Courtney, what do you think I should be doing?
Well, I have no idea, John, because when I was growing up, it wasn't. No one thought, I want to be an influencer. Yes, people wanted to be famous, but you still had to have talent to be famous at that time.
I guess. I mean, that's still kind of a strong statement.
I mean, for the most part, you'd be an actor or a musician or something. And now, I guess, with the Kardashians, it's like, okay, well, you can be famous for being famous. And, Paris Hilton and all of those people, there really wasn't any talent necessarily other than, just being a fly on the wall with reality TV. And I think it's kind of morphed now into children wanting to be influencers and whatever that means. So I kind of, John, to that point, I was asking you all about it and I was like, I guess I should do some research. And I didn't realize, bloggers, YouTube, Instagram, they're all kind of separate lines of influencing.
Well, bloggers is, I feel like you do that through a platform. So I mean,
you could create your own blog.
You could, but most people that consider themselves that, I think, are doing it through social media, through YouTube, and creating videos.
Yeah. Well, just Googling the top grossing channel creators on YouTube. The number one, or the top grossing YouTube channel creator in 2021 made $54 million.
Do you know what they were doing?
Yes, he was actually... No, I don't. I was thinking of the blogger.
I mean, often you're seeing video games.
I'm not sure Courtney has a refresh rate.
No, but I will tell you, one of them was a child playing with toys.
Yeah.
Or it's like he's like a young kid.
Yeah, he makes like $20+ million by opening new toys and filming it, and then he has his own television show. I mean, it's bonkers. But these people are able to do that, and they're getting $20+ million. But on top of that, YouTube or the platforms that they're on and using are clearly bringing in even more money if they're able to pay out to these people. So it's a profitable endeavor for pretty much everybody involved.
Well, it's also kind of one of those deals. I wonder just how profitable it is, and whether or not it could be one of those things that years ago, back when we were starting the company, coming up with marketing budgets, we had someone come into us and we were talking about what we need to do, and he said, Facebook. It was a dude. He said, Facebook. Well, what about Facebook? Just need to be on Facebook. How much money do we need to spend? $100,000. Came through some sort of number, didn't tell us what we were supposed to be doing or anything. We were just supposed to spend $100,000, which frankly we didn't have at the time, to go out there on Facebook without any sort of understanding on or sort of coordinated effort. We just needed to be out there. And I'm wondering whether or not some of that's going on right now with some of these platforms where marketers and companies are just throwing money because they feel as though they've got to be out there.
At some point it'll stick.
Whereas, hey, I'm going to pay someone this amount of money in case they drive some business our way, thinking that's what they've got to be doing. That's how they're going to spend their marketing dollars without actually taking a look at the ROI and all that stuff. And I wonder whether or not guys, whether or not we're going through a period of discovery here, where there's more money chasing after this, which at some point the true influencers will rise to the top, and some of those lesser people will ultimately, see their income streams dry up.
I think discovery is the right word, and I think that is what you're seeing. But I do think the way this kind of viral marketing economy is going, it allows platforms for smaller people and for smaller companies. I mean, like you mentioned, needing to go out and spend just tons of money on Facebook that you don't have. Well, now companies can say, hey, here's someone with 10,000 followers that's kind of in the group of people that we're looking to advertise to. Let's send them free stuff, or let's give them a couple $100. And that is a lot less of a commitment to get your name out there instead of having to go through whether it's a marketing group or, I mean, the risk is much lower for some of these smaller companies. But you are right, especially on the bigger end, these people that are just throwing contracts out. There's definitely a period of discovery and trying to figure out what the value is. And you're seeing it in college sports with the NIL, like you mentioned. I mean, the money being thrown at these people, it's hard for me to imagine most of those companies all getting their money's worth out of them.
Well, and I know, John, one thing that you and Sam talk about every morning with our team is that you might share how many people are looking for jobs. What's the unemployment rate? And what sectors are maybe having, okay, hey, so-and-so had so many new jobs this quarter or this month. And I guess my question to y'all is, where is individuals who are influencers or people who are getting paid based off their name, image, likeness, where is that captured? Because you could argue, is it marketing, like you said, Sam? Is it athletics? Is it technology? Where is that being captured?
Unfortunately, according to like a layup that you said that, it's not being captured very well anywhere. Someone can do this type of work at a 1099 MISCH or MISH and not technically be employed, and technically be unemployed. They'd be self-employed clearly, but I mean, not receiving W-2 type income. Matter of fact, the Wall Street Journal did an article on this very topic here today. Just, these people are doing this, Instagram influencers, people doing gig type of economy, and they're falling through sort of the cracks in terms of labor force participation rates, unemployment rates, all that stuff. Matter of fact, while the Wall Street Journal talked about this today, read about this today, Common Sense, our newsletter, we did an article on this on January 7th of this year, just about a month ago. So I mean, to kind of quickly answer your question, it's not being very well tracked, and I'm not sure if the government right now with this methodology has a very good way of doing it. Sam, your thoughts?
No, there's no good way to really capture it right now because, again, going back to a period of discovery, we're figuring out what it is, and there's just no good way to capture. I think maybe you're seeing it on financial statements built into kind of the marketing budget of smaller companies, but it's not being broken out into how they're spending that money. And so it's hard to tell what's what and how much is marketing that they're spending to marketing companies and how much is maybe paying people to post pictures.
I bet it has become a full-time gig like what you're talking about because, I'm not terribly active on my Instagram feed. I've got 180 followers, and half those people are would-be influencers that will take their name off of my deal after about 3 weeks or whatnot, and after not following them. But first got on Instagram some time ago, I was going, who is this person, and why are they hitting my feed? And it always said sponsored. Sponsored. You occasionally click on one, it's 15,000 followers, but that person right there is paying money to Instagram to go out there and hit as many different sort of sites or people as they possibly can in the hopes that someone follows them, and the more people that follow them, Sam, as you mentioned, Courtney, as you inferred, all of a sudden they start getting paid just by posting stuff. And companies send them like a sweater, and so they put on a sweater and say, take a look at this, isn't this nice? And then hopefully that drives revenue. So that's kind of one of those. I mean, for what you said, Courtney, when you were a little girl, who doesn't want to be famous, but you had to have some sort of talent? Yeah, maybe. But now, I mean, children truly can aspire to be Instagram influencers or YouTube influencers and have modest capabilities at best. Your thoughts on that?
I think it is modest. And, I mean, we obviously have a different perspective because we didn't grow up with that, but we did grow up.
But Sam did.
Mostly,
yes.
Yeah.
But like in the 90s, I think of it when I first, Sam doesn't know a day where he didn't have, the internet. But, when you first would have the dial-up connection and you'd have to type in HTTP and you'd have
Just
to write
how old are you?
I know, so old, so old.
Like a hand crank computer.
But, there wasn't, probably, John, in your generation, it's going to get me in trouble, but where you probably were like, what is all this technology? Or, oh, it's just going to blow over.
Yeah, that's right.
This
It's
is
going to
internet.
blow over.
What
People
is
would
this
call
thing? How does it
computers a
work?
machine.
Yes. And so
That's right.
But then we built out sectors in our economy in which there's technology now, and there is a sector for that. I know you all said it's discovery phase. I mean, what is the timeline? Do you think that in the next 10 years that there might be another, I don't know, would you call it, you said gig, is that what we would call it? Like,
Well, yeah, it's called the gig economy. But
Yeah.
back to Courtney's point, back when I was growing up and listening to the wireless at night, thinking, I'm
AM
just,
radio.
just thinking that there's absolutely no way that anyone would prefer the television to the wireless, let alone, talking pictures. So all that type of stuff is all. I couldn't believe it. So there you have
color
it.
TV.
And then Al Gore went and invented the internet and changed everything again.
Then everything changed, and for me, the better. So it's but kind of to your point. No, I mean, obviously, I think the younger generations are more attuned to this and more willing to accept this as legitimate. In terms of discovery, we've mentioned it here on this podcast previously. We went through discovery period with the internet bubble or the tech bubble back in the
Right.
late 1990s. People just throwing money at the internet, understanding that this is forever going to change our lives and how we conduct business, and it has. However, we weren't valuing companies correctly because we didn't know how to. We were going through a period of discovery, and we arguably are doing the same thing with cryptocurrencies right now and other blockchain sort of investments, NFTs. And I would say that marketing departments and advertisers as a whole are going through some level of discovery right now, in terms of Instagram influencers and what have you. And I would say, Sam, we're probably doing that with some of the higher profile college football players with the NIL, name, image, and likeness right now. People like Bryce Young, quarterback at Alabama, getting paid millions of dollars. And even, Olympic people.
Sonny Lee.
Coming up before the Winter Olympics, there were certain skiers that were getting paid all kinds of money that have fallen a couple of times. And then nothing, not to degrade her or what have you, but people were making a huge bet that, hey, these amateur athletes or these young people are going to perform in a particular way. And I think maybe that sort of money, the crazy money being thrown at people like Bryce Young and what have you, will probably dissipate over time.
Or at least to the amount of people getting those deals.
Yeah, whether there still be a few people getting those deals, but the average athlete at your average college may or may not see a few $100s every year from T-shirt or jersey sales, or the occasional local ice cream joint having them in, that type of deal.
The thing that interests me the most, and I think is the most exciting about this, is the ability to focus on specific subgroups and targeting specific people, which I think was previously much harder. I mean, say there's some social media YouTube influencer that, I don't know, something very niche. It's like, say they're a bow hunter. It's hard to get that out there, but say some, hunting bow company, that's a great person because the people watching those videos and following those people are looking for that kind of stuff.
Right.
Probably a lot harder to do that and to be that specific and that targeted in your advertisements. And I think for some people, you'll get more bang for your buck and being able to maybe pay those kinds of people less than you would to have a commercial on TV that
No one watches.
and
because
people
everyone-
that don't want that are going to be watching. You're paying to have those people watch it. So, I mean, the big deals I think will come down, but I think this is kind of a net positive. I mean, it helps small businesses grow. It helps people be more targeted with their spending, and I think there's a lot of positives that come from it.
Well, you're probably right on that. I'm just trying to figure out the niche that I am. Sort of a white-haired, middle-aged, if you live to be 106, white dude that likes to talk about economics. How come no one's reached out for me yet, Sam?
I'm sure they're coming.
Yeah, your time is coming. Well, and I think, I believe that a well-known football coach in the state of Alabama said that he was actually looking at hiring someone on his staff that their sole responsibility would be to manage NIL for the players.
Well, I don't know why Bill Cart down at UAB would want to hire someone like that.
Yeah. So I just think that there's obviously, each different SEC especially. I mean, and you go back to, it's always sad, I guess, right? People get free rides to college, by playing athletics
Why
if
is
they're
that
really
sad?
good. Well, okay, so the sad part is that
Sounds
they
great.
yeah, I know, you're right, it is. But then they might let's say, all right, well, their eligibility or the possibility of them being drafted, which obviously y'all know more about this than I do, but let's just say the possibility of them
I
being
wouldn't draft it anywhere.
yeah. No, not you, but the fact that you know
Same for you.
No, not unless we have another war coming up. It's my only chance.
Okay, the point I'm trying to make is that people would leave college, right? They wouldn't actually get a degree. They wouldn't be focused on school because maybe they needed to go pro and they needed to make sure that they stayed healthy to go pro to provide for their families. Like, you know, a lot of people maybe that are in athletics wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to college if they weren't good at sports. And I think it's just a great opportunity that hopefully will encourage college athletes to stay in school and to, you know, because they'll be able to support their families. And I'm not saying that these individuals didn't already have boosters paying them under the table or something like that, but I hope that now in the transparency of it, it will encourage people to actually reap the benefit of being in college so that if you go to pro and let's say we could name plenty of athletes who have not necessarily been very successful once they went pro, and what do? You know, I mean, yes, they might make a good bit of money for the first few years, but they're probably blowing it. You know, you'd like to think that they're saving all this money to go back to school or that they prioritize that.
I think you'll see it with a lot of the sports that are outside of, you know, football, like the kind of top three sports. I mean, Sonny Lee at Auburn, I think, is a perfect example. Previously, Olympic gymnastics gold medal winners didn't go to college. They reaped as much money as they could for those.
Well, they had to.
Yeah.
They had to strike while the iron's
Yeah,
hot.
strike while the iron's hot. And now she was able to go to Auburn, be on Dancing with the Stars, have all these deals, her own clothing line that until last year you couldn't do. You had to essentially, I guess, go pro. I don't know what that looks like in gymnastics, but and strike while the iron's hot.
I don't think there is a pro gymnastics.
Listen, I don't know. There's probably a pro anything.
Yeah.
Maybe in Russia.
In Russia. In Russia.
I think you age out in Russia.
Probably.
Yeah, at a very young age. Well, I mean, Courtney, going back to kind of your point about some of these kids who are, you know, making money, those kids that are going to be making a ton of money off of their likeness and image in college under the name would probably go on to the pros and make a lot of money anyhow. So I don't
Just
necessarily.
based off the fact that they could get hurt or something like that and not be able
Well,
to.
I mean, some of these people actually buy insurance policies on themselves, and so to the extent that they can. So I'm not sure if sort of that average player, that sort
Okay.
of third quartile, fourth quartile, that sort of that third stringer, whether or not that's going to really impact them at all. I don't think that person's going to, you know, really benefit too terribly much. They might get a pat on the back and a fistful of peanuts when they're selling, you know, T-shirts or something like that. But really, this is only going to benefit, in my estimation, kind of a select few nationwide, and those are going to be those higher profile people. And then sort of that second string or sort of that second wide receiver, what's called on the Crimson Tide, they'll get a little bit of money from you know, the local Zaxby's or something like that, you know, doing sort of promotions. But I don't envision this will be a huge money earner for a ton of people. Just like Instagram isn't a huge money earner for most people that are on Instagram. I don't get a dime from Instagram. Matter of fact, I just get a bunch of bad feelings. So
they probably make a lot of money off you because you click on different links and maybe buy things.
I don't buy anything on Instagram. Whereas if I'm not mistaken, Courtney goes onto Instagram and she buys cups. You know,
I do.
She buys
I do.
And her creamer.
Yeah, and she-
No, the
and-
creamer is not on Instagram.
and
the
also
cup
the,
is.
also the sausage that her family likes.
Yes, that's Costco.
It's Costco. So I don't think this is necessarily, going to benefit everyone, just like, you know, not everyone's a profitable Instagram influencer or YouTube influencer or what have you. And it kind of goes back to, you know, just not everyone's a famous singer, not everyone's a famous celebrity, movie star, or what have you. It's just going to be just another avenue where people can be very public, become famous for being famous, but some people are going to be more famous than others, if you catch my drift.
And in general, I think it's a lot of work. I mean, if you look at people who, what prompted this was on vacation, watching a person have her husband videotape her kind of frolicking in the ocean, and, you know, it was like, clearly that's Instagram, or clearly that's some blogging, you know, and I think grass is always green on the other side of thinking, oh, it's so easy to make that money, and if you actually tried.
Well, you told me that was exhausting, and Alex got very tired of actually filming you doing that. But I know what you're talking about. There is
Gosh.
So frolicking in the ocean, all that stuff. Yeah. Alex texted us and said, I'm so tired of doing this. She
I'm
thinks she can make
sure.
a bunch of money. No, but I think we all have people that you either follow or they attempt to follow you that I don't know how many posts they must put out each day. And it's a lot of dancing around doing silly stuff. And however, there are a few people that I follow that actually post once or twice a day and they actually have some quality content. So it's like anything else. The cream shall rise to the top, and those people are truly good, as it is with any job or industry. People that are truly good at it will benefit. Sam, what do you think about that?
I agree completely.
Gordon, what do you think about that?
No, I feel like we vetted it well.
Well, there you have it. All right. Well, guys, thank you all so much for listening. We always love to hear from you. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please, by all means, let us know. You can always drop us a line at tradingperspectives@oakworth.com, or you can leave us a review on the podcast outlet of your choice. As always, if you're interested in reading more, hearing more of what we have to say or how we think, please, by all means, go to oakworth.com and take a look underneath the Thought Leadership tab for all kinds of awesome information. All right. Cordy, Sam, any last thoughts on the topic?
That's all I got.
That's it.
That's all I've got today, too. Y'all take care.